golf brought me to where my faith is now. My my faith in Jesus, my salvation. I mean, that's been a really big thing for me, and through golf and through humans. I mean, for me, God has always used other people to help influence and kind of lead and guide and steer. And so I look back at all the people that have been a part of it, and I kind of see his perfect design in it. And so that's been a big thing for me. I mean, I pretty much found my salvation on the golf course, and having a relationship with Jesus was just different when I got older and kind of realized how important that was in my life and how that's kind of shaped me.
Welcome back, everybody, to Mind Your Game podcast, episode number 2. I'm your host, Dustin Donner, and today we got a special guest for all the listeners and watchers out there. A 14-year LPGA Tour veteran, 1 career win, 9 career top 10 finishes, and 27 top 25 career finishes. You may know her as Cydney Clanton. I know her as a colleague and a friend of mine. Welcome, Cydney, to the Mind Your Game podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Dustin. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So yeah, Cydney, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, your journey within the game of golf?
Yeah, it's funny. My journey started a long time ago because I decided in 6th grade that I was going to be a professional golfer. And for me, there was like no and if or buts. I tell people all the time I was a weird kid. But for me, the dream was always, which is funny, I don't ever tell people I'm a dreamer, but like the goal was always professional golf. And I was going to do whatever it took to get there. And it's funny, I wouldn't have said this along the way, but like it wasn't just easy. It wasn't just something that came easy. I played all sports growing up. I have 3 brothers. Being competitive was a big thing in my family. And so all the other sports were kind of easy. I was always trying to find better competition. I was always going to an older division to try to find better because I was a good athlete, and golf kind of hit me in the face pretty hard. And golf is hard. I still tell people all the time, I'm like, golf is hard. But I fell in love with the golf swing and kind of wanted to be known for my ability to hit the golf ball. And so I set out to create a really good repetitive golf swing, and I was able to do that and continue kind of like get better and get better and get better. You know, by the end of my junior career, I was a good junior player. I was recruited to play at Auburn University. I played at Auburn for 4 years and had 3 collegiate wins, and went on, and pretty much right out of the gate, I graduated May of 2011 and went to Q school and got my LPGA card right out of the gate. So 2012 was my first season on LPGA. And I tell people all the time, my professional career has been a bit of a roller coaster. I've had highlights like winning an LPGA event. I've had lowlights of losing my card by $8. I've been every player that you could possibly be on the LPGA. And so there's been a lot of learning and a lot of growing in what I've experienced through my journey, but I wouldn't change what I've experienced. I've learned a lot about myself, and learned a lot about life and what that looks like. And so I'm sitting here and doing this podcast with you.
Yeah. So it sounds like not only just having that dream in 6th grade, going to Auburn University, also dealing with the challenges of being on tour and then multiple challenges while on tour as well. I'm curious, how did you know in 6th grade that was your dream? Because a lot of people have dreams to be astronauts, president of the United States, all these dreams. And parents usually are like, yeah, of course, keep it going. But you followed through with your dream from the 6th grade.
Yeah, it's funny. So like, again, I'm going to try to change that word dream, because it's funny for me. It was always a destination. Like I always knew where I was going. And I wasn't a great student. I kind of knew that my gift wasn't in school. My gift was always athletics. And when I was a kid thinking through things, it was just like, hey, like what could take me the furthest? Because I wouldn't say that golf was my like first love in sports. I loved basketball. I loved softball. But like when I thought about it, I was like, man, I'm probably not going to go very far with that. My mom played tennis in college, and so she wanted one of us to be a tennis player, and I was like, I'm not quick enough for that. And so it really was golf, and really I think the thing that really helped kind of propel that was I had a coach that I worked with for 26 years. And he kind of took me under his wing, and he was passionate about the golf swing. He was passionate about golf, and he kind of took me alongside and kind of led and guided me, kind of shepherded me through golf and through the journeys. And so having someone there that was so close and that knew so much and has been such an influence in my life, I think that was a really big thing for me. But yeah, but the I probably wouldn't have been able to tell you in 6th grade that when I had figured out that golf was it, that was like this whole destination thing. But looking back, it was definitely like one of those things where it's like I hear all the time a lot of juniors or even a lot of collegiates, like, if I do this, then maybe I'll try. And that was never me. Like, I always knew this is what I was doing and whatever it took to do it. And so in college, I remember going to practice 2 hours early because I wanted to do things that I thought needed to do to be better. And then I would stay later. And so I had a great college experience, I had great teammates. I had teammates that were interested in doing the same things, but had different games. And that was like one of the really cool things. Like, I remember Candace Shepperly and I were really close, and we had completely different games. And the coolest thing was practicing with Candace because she had this creativity around the greens that I just didn't have. And it was just, we kind of played off one another. So, like, what she was really good at, I wasn't good at, but what I was really good at, she wasn't good at. And so, like, having these like cool conversations and being around other people that wanted to do similar things, I think that was really impactful.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing, it sounds like ultimately work ethic, hard work, and preparation is what helped get you there. And it also sounds like a strong belief system. So how, from the 6th grade on to even now, how did you develop that strong belief system even at that young age and going through college and all that change?
Yeah, I mean, I think one, just the goal of it, just kind of knowing what it is that you wanted. I mean, I think a lot of people at a young age, they don't really know what they want. And so the fact that was comfortable with that, I believed in my physical ability to be able to do things just because being in athletics. And I trusted those that were around me, which I think was good. My parents were always doing things behind the scenes. My mom traveled with me a lot, and she was always asking older parents that had older kids, like, what do I need to do to get Cydney the opportunity to do this? What do we need to do? Who do we need to work with? Who do we need to add to the team? And so I had very much a support system. But one of the things that I think that created that belief system is this was all me. I remember getting up really early on Saturdays and Sundays, begging my parents to get out of bed so that they could take and drop me off at the golf course. And that this wasn't something that was driven from outside. My parents were very supportive, but not very, hands-on. Like, my parents didn't see a single golf lesson of mine until I turned professional. And I had a coach that had come down to work with me at an event, and my mom was caddying for me, or wait, my dad was going to caddy for me that week, but I needed a looper on the bag for Tuesday, and my mom was there, and so she got to experience my first lesson as a professional. Like, my parents never were involved as far as like the hands-on lessons, and I think some of that was the driving force of like, this was all me all the time. Like, this was not something that my parents put on me or pushed me to do. I always had the drive to do it. And it was an outlet for me. Like, I loved going to the golf course. It was always from sun up to sundown. If it rained, I wanted to go. I played in the snow because I could always find something to do at the golf course.
Mm. So it sounds like not only was golf an outlet for you, but what kind of impact did golf make on your life personally?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, I've learned a ton through golf. I mean, we call golf the gentleman's sport, but really, I mean, and most players have ever played it, they say it's the closest thing to life as far as you fail more often than you succeed. Like, if your judgment is just like, did I win or did I not win, then you're not going to make it long because you're just not going to win. There's very few Tiger Woods and Scotty Schefflers. There's very few Jack Nicklaus's. I mean, if you think about the professional realm, people are winning less than 1% of the events that they play in. And so you're talking about, if you look at every so-called failure or obstacle, then you're just not going to go very far. And we have obstacles and failures in life that hit you. And so just kind of that resilience and perseverance of pushing through and knowing that I wouldn't have said this when I was younger, but like working a process, like being able to go through, bounce off the feels, and sometimes you're better at it than others. I mean, I've had some really low years. Golf brought me to where my faith is now. My my faith in Jesus, my salvation. I mean, that's been a really big thing for me, and through golf and through humans. I mean, for me, God has always used other people to help influence and kind of lead and guide and steer. And so I look back at all the people that have been a part of it, and I kind of see his kind of perfect design in it. And so that's been a big thing for me. I mean, I pretty much found my salvation on the golf course. And it's funny, people that have known me growing up, they're like, but you've always been to church. And I'd be like, I know, but having a relationship with Jesus was just different when I got older and kind of realized how important that was in my life, and how that's kind of shaped me. And so, yeah, like I've been so blessed with people that have continued to pour into me, and believe in me even in the times that I haven't believed. Because I think with golf, it's just really easy sometimes with these obstacles to look at them as failures. And so having the people around me to continue to believe even in the times that I haven't believed, that's been super beneficial as well.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of what golf brought you was adversity, those setbacks and the failures, but ultimately you use that as one motivation for golf and also to use in your personal life when that comes to religion, spirituality, support system, and having a support system to fall back on to believe in you sometimes when you can't in those moments of failure or quote unquote mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing about it is I was just talking to a friend the other day and was just like, I've learned more through these so-called failures. You don't learn a lot when you're
Mhm.
succeeding because you just don't take the time to look at what's going on. I've struggled this year on the golf course with my biggest asset. I've struggled with my full swing. And this year was finally, I was like, I have underappreciated how good I was and how reliant that was for as long as it was. And it's like, it's not until you have these kind of obstacles that you take time to assess, that you take time and it's like, man, I wish I had appreciated what I had. And other people are trying to help you because they say stuff and you just roll off with it. Like I just remember I played with mini tour guys, I play with PGA Tour guys. I'm from the Charlotte area, and so like I play with a lot of guys and in a lot of groups. And it's funny, they just were always talked about the tee shots, and they just always talked about my iron play. And I was just like, well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. Like, and, it's just like you don't appreciate it when it's good. It's through these obstacles that I learned the most. I learned the most about me. I learned the most about how to dig in deep, um, and also how to ask for help. During these obstacles, it's hard to ask for help, and sometimes it's hard to know what help you need. And so I have learned um, that I don't like to be vulnerable, but at times the best thing to do is to kind of embrace this vulnerability, so that you can get better and be better.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot of what you're talking about is right on my alley when it comes to the mental side of the game. So I'm curious, when was that first time that you realized the mental side of the game was either as important as the physical side or even more important than the physical side?
Yeah, it's interesting. I just wasn't like getting to that next step in that junior level. I was starting to play in some bigger AJGAs and national events. And my parents kind of came to me and they were like, hey, like, we really think that you need a sports psych. You just need someone to just kind of help you with it's just this mental thing. And so, like, my first taste of like this mental process and this mental game had to come was my senior year of high school. And it was really cool to see, like, from the time that I started with the mental and just 1 year and how just this perspective change of just, like, how you look at things, how we should look at things, how to, I mean, he talked about having a mental routine, and I was like, "What the heck are you talking about?" Like, I don't what do you mean a mental routine? Like, he's like, "Yeah, Sid, you have a physical routine, something that you do all the time, but, like, hey, like, what's going on upstairs?" And I'm like, what do you mean what's going on upstairs? Like, And it's funny, there's been things that evolved and changed. Don't get me wrong, I read every Bob Rotella book at that time under the gun. Like any book he had read, I had written. I had read. He had written, I had read. And so like, my coach of 26 years was just like, "Hey, Sid, like, winning and losing is, in between the 6 inches in between your ears. Like, that's an important part." But I had gotten some early experience in my career, but I still had this like edginess and cockiness about me at that age that I still thought I knew
Mm,
everything. And if I were really honest with you, it wasn't until my rookie season on tour. And I tell all the young people all the time because one of the regrets or one of the things that I wish I could do over if I could go back was I knew my destination was the LPGA. There wasn't a doubt in my mind that I wouldn't make it. But I never defined what that looked like once I got there. And I achieved that very quickly. Like I knew I was going to be doing it. I knew that I was going to do whatever it took to get there. I get there. My first event as an LPGA player is in Australia. I have flown all the way around the world to this beautiful country. We're playing Royal Melbourne, which is by far one of my favorite courses that we've ever played. And I make the cut and I'm on the back nine on Saturday. I'm playing good golf. I'm feeling really good. And I'm like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Like there was just like this aha of appreciation of like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is cool. Finished the tournament, finished top 20 in my first ever LPGA event, and then proceeded to miss every cut after that.
mm,
And talk about like just like real world hits you in the face and you're like, what just happened? Like my naiveness of life of just like, hey, you're gonna get out of college and you're just gonna roll because you were a great college player and you were the number one amateur at one point and you're just gonna roll on and that the rest of your life was just gonna be this just easy, just like you're good at golf, you're gonna stay good at golf. There's not gonna be anything. Um and so it was crazy. It was just like, what the heck do I do now? Like, now it's like, well, am I good enough? Like, I just missed every cut. How did I miss every cut? And so that's when, you start hiring people to come and help you. And so really it was just that first taste of real life in that like, whoa, how do we handle this? How do we manage all the negativity that comes in? How do we not dwell on it? What are like ways to manage all this energy that builds inside that it's like, hey, I don't really like that. I kind of like want to fight that. Like, what do I do with it? So, like, my appreciation, I think, for the mental game and just the understanding that you do need to have someone. I tell all my friends all the time that even I call them normies, people that aren't in my little bubble world of professional life. I'm an adult, but I'm not really an adult. I live in this like bubble world of life. And it's just like, I have someone I talk to on a regular basis with like what's going on mentally. Like I am a big fan of having someone that can help lead and steer and guide and make sure that you're on the right path and that you're not succumbing to the negative things or the things that creep in. Because people, they kind of make fun of therapy and all the things. And it's just like, no, dude, like it's a real deal. I get it all the time. Like I have someone that I can call and it's just like, hey, like this is what's going on, like, what do I do? How do I manage this? Like, what different perspective can I take in this? And so like, I'm really serious when I talk to people. I'm like, hey, have someone you talk to that knows more than you and is unbiased. Like you're talking to people that are
right.
unbiased about the situation.
Yeah. And it's always great to have someone like yourself be advocating not only for therapy, but also mental performance coaching when it comes to working with athletes, business owners, high performers, even doctors and medical professionals, in a sense, also need someone to talk to and not necessarily just vent, but also have someone there, like you said, that is unbiased, doesn't have any quote unquote skin in the game.
Mhm.
And it sounds like from your rookie year, I'm wondering what came up for you after that tournament? You said a top 20 finish
Mhm.
and then missing the cut. A lot of people either stop what they're doing when they don't get the results they want, and they don't usually seek help. So how are you able to rookie year that young of an age to seek help seek a support system and continue on with the sport that you love?
Yeah. Good question. I mean, part of it was just like, you know, the first thing that everyone says is like, hey, like we need to add people to your team. Like if you look at the best players in the world, they have a support team. Like you need to have support team. Like, you know, if you can get a little bit better in this area, if you can get a little better in this area. And my first like step in that had to do with short game. I went to find a short game coach because it's just like, hey, like, you know, when you're full swing in there, you have to have something that backs you up. Like, you know, can we make these rounds that aren't as great? Can we make them a little better because you're just a little bit better at short game? And it's funny. I worked with a short game guy for a long time, and he's just like, Sid, like, I really think we need to add like some sort of sports psychologist for you. Like, I think, you know, like, yes, like you're getting more help, but like, I think we need. And so really, I can't say that it has to do with my effort. I really do think it is the team that I put around me that really helped encourage talking to someone, getting different perspective, actually getting into some sort of a routine of just having someone to call. Um, and so, and so it was through support. It was through family. It was, you know, trust me, I haven't had to talk like, hey, am I supposed to be doing this? Like, cause the first thing when you hit, you know, obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, cause it wasn't like I missed one cut. It was literally every cut the rest of the year. I mean, you're talking about a lot of failure, a lot of grinding, a lot of like, hey, like I'm putting in the work and I'm not getting anything out of it. Um, and it took a long time. I went back to Q school and didn't get through Q school. Had to go to our development tour, which at the time was called Symetra. It's now called Epson. And didn't have a great start to that 2013 season, but found something kind of midway through that year and had my first professional win on Epson or Symetra then. And that kind of skyrocketed me. I ended up finishing top 10 on that money list. Um, and got my card back for the 2014 season. But I played a whole year the next year on the developmental tour trying to get back. And so the hard work paid off with the win. And the win was fun because it was a 7-hole playoffs, really dramatic fashion. Continued to just stripe it and just couldn't get the ball in the hole. And it's just like, how many 15-footers are you gonna have to win and not make? But yeah, no, like the importance really came from just that kind of support team, um, that kind of helped kind of lead and guide me to seeking more help in that area.
And so a whole year between seeing a result that you liked, missing
Mhm,
these cuts, and going down to the Epson tour, right? The
mhm,
developmental to work your way back to where you were.
mhm,
Ultimately, you didn't receive that instant gratification, those results right away. Like, what do you
mhm.
feel like in that year? A lot of people just throw it to, they're like, you know what? I'm just going to hang up the cleats, put the golf clubs in the closet. But you kept chasing those results, even though you weren't receiving that instant gratification that so many people, especially junior players and just junior athletes, youth athletes in general, want. How are you able to kind of push through that and not receive that instant gratification?
Yeah, some of it I think was like deep down belief in that like
Mm,
I can still hit a golf ball better than anyone else can. Like how like we can figure out some of the other stuff. Like um I believed in my ability to be able to get the ball from A to B. And it was just like, if we can continue to feed into it. When I started working with the sports psych that I had started working with, when I had sought out the short game coach, I started working and focusing a lot on improving weaknesses and had kind of gotten away from really trying to master what my strengths were. Mastering my strengths was full swing. It was tee balls and it was iron play. And I had kind of stopped putting emphasis in it and had started just putting like kind of all my eggs and like if I get better at this. But what I found was that that full swing kind of went down and my short game went up a little bit, but not enough to succumb like if the full swing wasn't at its best. And so this mindset of not focusing on my weaknesses, but maintaining what I had and then focusing on my strengths is really one of those things that really helped with the transition from kind of this belief system of like, hey, no, like I get a lot of confidence from my full swing. I get a lot of confidence from knowing that I'm a great ball striker. So putting a lot more emphasis on that really helped me with like staying there because I was getting a lot of fuel every day from working on what I was good at and not necessarily working on the things that I was weak at and getting beat up from not having good practices. So the shift of just like practice and being able to pour into the good because the good was really good and I could feel that belief system on what was good. Um, and so that was the kind of the big perspective change that really helped with being able to get through kind of that hard time of like, hey, no, I still do believe that I can beat anyone in from any distance in the closest to the pin. I still do believe, and then these were the kind of the things that I knew that I needed. I needed a really good feel that produced something that was consistent, and I knew what it was gonna produce, and then I also knew if it wasn't producing that, what steps to do to get back to that.
Mm. So it sounds like that belief system that you had established once
Mhm,
was connected to results, maybe in a sense. And
mhm,
then when you started to not receive the results that you wanted, that belief system switched into something that you actually have control of, your practice and your preparation. Do you
mhm.
feel as though that is what helped you kind of get through that next year and get back to having your card?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that was a long time ago, so for me to be able to truly bring up when you get old, it's tough to remember as clearly, but, like, yeah, I mean, part of it is just, like, back then, it felt like the worst possible thing that you could do is go through a whole year and miss every cut. And when I look back at it, it's just like, that wasn't the worst possible thing that could have happened to me that year, right? Like, one, it was also, it made me appreciate where I was and what I had accomplished and what I could accomplish. So, kind of this mindset of learning through the desert, of learning through, those low moments. And so I do think that kind of stepping back and being able to not necessarily judge the results because sometimes when you're working on things that you're supposed to be working on, there is going to be desert. There is going to be a time where results aren't a thing. But being able to put a belief system in something that you can see, touch, and feel every day. And sometimes that's not results. You don't always see results, but this belief system of knowing, hey, I'm working on the right things. I'm working towards the right things. These are how I'm going to evaluate those right things. Like, this is how I'm going to evaluate, and this is how I'm going to go about working on it. And then until it's like, hey, no, like, this isn't working because my evaluations aren't right. Sometimes I think we as players get off because we don't know how to evaluate. Um, I get on to players all the time that talk to me about full swing because I know a lot about full swing. And they're just like, it's starting to look good. And I'm like, don't care. How does it perform? Do you understand what the golf
Mm,
ball is doing? Because it doesn't have to look pretty golf swing to be repeatable and makeable. And at this point, if you're a professional, your job is to get the ball in the hole. And so I don't care how it's looking. I care about is it producing what it is that you want to produce because your confidence on the golf course has nothing to do with what it looks like because you don't know what it looks like. You don't get video. You don't
mm,
get, I tell people all the time, we don't get half times. We don't have the tablets where everyone's taking a video and it's like, hey, like I made a bad swing. Let me go and check my video here so I can make my adjustments. We have the
yeah.
golf ball and we have to heavily rely on knowing what that golf ball is doing and it's so interesting because I was just like, "Hey, like, if you're working with someone and y'all aren't producing something that you can be confident in, then that might not be it." But you have to know how to evaluate that. Like, there is a time to hone in on the mechanics of it, but at some point, it's just like, "Hey, am I physically able to do this? Can I be confident in this? Is this being able to produce something?" And I think we fall short a lot in that we don't know the process of being able to build and add to our games.
This episode of the Mind Your Game podcast is brought to you by Caddy Snacks, the perfect fuel for golfers who want to perform at their best on and off the course. Made with clean ingredients and designed for long lasting energy, Caddy Snacks keeps you focused from the first tee to the final putt. And with our code MIND20, you can get 20% off your first order. Grab your next round of caddy snacks at www.eatcaddysnacks.com. Now back to the podcast. And a big word for me that's coming up is trust.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel as though within that evaluation, it established that trust within yourself or any player that can evaluate, that knows it's going to produce that on the course with that confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I think trust is a big thing. I mean, I think trust allows you to let go of maybe even results that you aren't having. I think trust allows for you to be very present with what is going on. So I think trust is kind of the first thing that leads to belief in kind of that process of like, um, if we trust that we're working on the right things, then it's going to be easier to believe that they're going to come.
That's a great one-liner right there, Cydney.
Yeah.
How, because some of our listeners, right, they're youth athletes, they're junior golfers. What would be your advice to them talking about creating this belief system? But it sounds like for you, trust is number one to then create that belief system and have a strong one. What would be your first piece of advice for them to establish that trust within themselves?
Um, for me, it always started with kind of knowing what you want. Like I tell kids all the time, like, when you ask them, hey, what are your goals? They give very vague goals. They get very vague information. I want to play college. I'm like, okay, cool. Do you want to play Division 1, Division 2, Division 3? And they're like, I want to play Division 1 golf. I'm like, okay, cool. I said, well, do you want to be a part of the team or do you want to play on the team? And they're like, no, I want to play. And I'm like, okay, well, do you want your score to count? Like, there's so much more that goes into like truly knowing, hey, what is it that I want? And then kind of having a plan for like, what do I think I need to do to get better at it? And how do I even go about doing that? One thing that I trusted completely was the coach that I had for 26 years. I mean, that's why I've had him for 26 years. Like, I knew the work that we were putting in is beneficial. I knew that anytime that I had put time with him, that I was getting better. There was a lot of trust that formed. Um, and there's a lot of belief that came because I knew that I had someone that wouldn't allow for me to get too far off. And so I got really lucky in that aspect. But like the biggest thing that I have for juniors is don't wait to believe, create something. Because if you wait to believe, if you keep waiting for if I do this or if this happens or whatever, you're going to be waiting. So if you want to play Division 1 golf, and you want your scores to count, then either make a plan for how you're going to do it or hire someone to help you make that plan. Hire someone that can help kind of build this process with you, can help evaluate, hey, like, where am I? Like, what are my strengths? Do I like to go towards things? Do I like to go away from things? Like what are things that kind of shape you? Because all of us are different. Like, where I pull my trust can be completely different where someone else pulls their trust. I pulled my trust on just my physical ability. Like sometimes I'm like, I literally was built to play golf. I'm long and lean. I have long arms. I have a big width in my swing. I hit it a long ways. And sometimes I'm like, that was gifted to me. Like I didn't do anything to have that. And so sometimes it's just like, that was a trust that I had. Like, hey, like I was built to do this. And I make changes really easy. That was something that I could always trust in, and that like, hey, like if I needed to make a change, I could make a change. And so that was a belief system that I had of like, hey, like, yep, this is off, but I can make the change. Um, so I definitely would start with just this. Don't wait to see something to have the belief. Figure out what you want, figure out how to go get it. And if you need help with the figuring out how to go get it, then talk to mom and dad or talk to the support team that you have. It's like, hey, like, how do I go get this? Like, how do we go get this together?
Don't wait to create the belief, create it on your own and go
Mhm.
chase it.
That's right.
And meaning when you say don't go wait for it, go chase it, right? We're
Mhm.
not waiting around. And if that's reaching out to your parents, that's reaching out to someone like myself, a mental performance coach.
Mhm.
That kind of leads me to the next kind of section. I know I see you, Cydney, rocking in the MPGA logo, the polo for the people that are only watching the audio. Cydney's rocking a nice, slick white MPGA polo. Do you want to kind of announce, Cydney, what this new venture is for you in this new part of your life?
Yeah. So one of the things that I have struggled with here in the latter part of my career is this ability to evaluate. And it's interesting as a player, when juniors or amateurs, when you talk to them, one of the things, the hot topics that comes up is like, how do I practice? How do I practice? How do I practice? How do I practice? And I'm like, how do you not know how to practice? Like, how do you not know how to do this? And, I really sat down and was thinking about it. And it's through working with mental coaches, with working, I've worked with Dustin, I've worked with Dr. Matt, who created MPGA Plus or MPGA. And it's one of those things where it's just like, how do we know how to evaluate where we are? And what is it that we're evaluating? Because if we only put our evaluation on pass fail things, like if we made the putt or if they didn't make the putt, then like the frustration builds. And so one thing that I have thought about doing is I love this overall idea of performance. How do we better our performance? And one of the things that I fell entrapped to is instruction. I believe that performance came if I could do something instructional in the sense of like when I went to become a better short game person, I went to work on mechanics. And what I've realized as I've gotten older, mature, wiser, is that performance doesn't always have to do with our ability to be able to move the putter or move the club in the way we want. It really just has to do with evaluating, like, how do we get the ball in the hole? And since we have so many instructions, I'm a big fan of instruction. Like, don't get me wrong. I have a beautiful golf swing. I've prided myself on a beautiful golf swing. I move the club very efficiently. So I am a big believer in instruction. I'm just not a believer that it is everything. It is not the be all of everything when it comes to golf because there is an element to performance. There is an element that we're missing because there is so heavily on instructions. Like, hey, like I get out on the golf course and I have this weird lie. And what the heck do I do? I'm used to sitting on a driving range or in a mat and I make these perfect golf swings from these perfect lies and these perfect whatever. It's like, how do I get the golf ball in the hole? And so I have wanted to create this performance piece. And this performance piece is based mainly on evaluations. Like, how do we evaluate the skills that we need to become better putters, better short game players, better full swing, and better strategies, like strategies around the golf course? Like, what are the skills that we need to be able to do those well? So it first starts with evaluation. Then it would go into like, what drills do you do to get better? And then from there, it would go into application. And this application piece has to do more with this mental part of being able to bring this performance piece and this mental piece, because performance is more mental. It's more like, hey, like, how are we thinking about this? But I think the piece that we're missing right now when it comes to golf and comes to development is this evaluation piece. Like, how do we evaluate where we are? At one point a couple of years ago, I was like, hey, I want someone just to evaluate where am I? What parts of my game are at my ceiling? Like what parts are like, hey, like you can't get any better than this. This is as good as you're getting. Like, so that I know, like, hey, like, where do I need to put my marbles? Like, where do I need to put my focus? Like, how do I continue to prolong my golf career? Because as a female, our golf careers aren't as long as the PGA Tour. But like, hey, my desire is to continue to play, but I want to play at a high level. I just don't want to play. My desire's never been just to play on the LPGA Tour. It's to be competitive on the LPGA Tour. How do I do that? So I have partnered with MPGA, with you, Dustin, and with Dr. Matt and Andrew Yoon. And we are creating this mental and performance piece that is designed to help players to become better mentally because they have this training process. And two, are able to evaluate and drill to mastery when it comes to performance. Like, what are the skills that we need to be able to master to become better performers?
And you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Cydney kind of giving the whole perspective of her new venture with, of course, us at MPGA and our team. We're bringing on Cydney as the strategic performance coach, being able to do things such as what she has talked about within our podcast today. And Cydney, it sounds like what we talked about at the beginning of focusing on the things we're not doing well as golfers or professional or college or junior golfers. The first thing that they do is they look at kind of the negative, what's not working. But it sounds like within your evaluation process, we're also looking at that positive part that you didn't really receive in your beginning stages of your golf career.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you know, not to get ahead, but like when I've looked at like evaluating this putting piece, like this putting element, which will be kind of the first thing that we launch is putting is like, what skills do we need to become a good putter? And I pretty much have come up with 3 skills that we need to become a good putter. We need to be able to start the ball on line, roll it with the correct speed, and read it correctly. And it's funny, we could be really good at one of these, at 2 of these, or maybe we are just a really good putter and we're really good at all 3 of these. But our belief system, so let's just say one of these pieces we're not really good at. Okay, we tend to like really focus and consume ourselves with this, but our belief system doesn't have to be in the one that we're not good at. Our belief system could be that, hey, like I'm the best green reader out here. And I know I'm the best greener out here because I evaluate it, I practice it, and I own it. And it's one of those things where it's just like, hey, like if we can truly evaluate, can we then set up more purposeful practice that allows us to create this belief system and this ability of knowing that, hey, I have the skills to be able to do this? Don't get me wrong, evaluations are going to tell us if our instruction, like if we need instruction, if we need mechanical fix, because hey, like we're just not getting this. There's some mechanical things that we need to improve upon to get it. So don't get me wrong, these evaluations should help pinpoint if mechanics is necessary. But part of it is I believe that sometimes mechanics isn't the first step. It should be the last resort. Can we create, hey, like we can see the greens better. If we can start feeling like we started online better, does that help us with speed? If we focus on speed and green reading, does that help us with start line? Does this belief system of truly being able to visualize the ball going into the hole help us? Because that's the whole point. If you can believe that it's going to go in the hole, then more than likely it's going to go in the hole. I mean, quoted on our webinar last week in Atlanta, and it was just like Jack Nicklaus believes that he said that you should not step over a putt before you believe it could go in. And I was like, that is a bold statement and a statement that I couldn't have made a lot of times in my career. I had hoped that I was doing all the right things. And that's the one thing that I want to get out of. I don't want to be hoping. I don't want players to hope. I want them to know that, hey, I've done the work. I've evaluated my skills. My skills are good. I'm going to go and do this. And you're walking into it with this kind of head high, chest high. I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm going to do it. And that's when we create this belief system that isn't based on make missed. It's based on this belief system of like, hey, I have the skills to do this and I can trust in my ability to do this.
Mm. And I think you summed it up perfectly, Cydney, with the physical strategic piece, but also the mental game, the mental aspect of the game. And not only within golf, but in life in general too, within business, all these different ventures that you can utilize that mindset and that belief system. I know you said with that quote, there was many times where you couldn't, but it sounds like that quote and that belief system is what got you not only to the LPGA tour, but college and also to this spot in your career and life now. That belief system was there for you.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's times where it was way stronger than others. Like, I mean, I'm just as human as everyone else here, but it definitely
Of
started
course.
with my ability to be able to believe that, like, I can do this. And that
Mm.
even now, not more or less, I can do this. I was meant to do this because there's more purpose behind it. And that is even more powerful. Um, I've been gifted with a really cool platform to be able to live life on, being able to play golf. And now, even in this next venture of being able to pour into others so that they can create this cool platform to play on, because being a professional golfer is probably one of the coolest things.
Would
Really
would
hard,
you say would you say
but
with this new venture,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I said really hard, but really cool.
It's the grind,
Oh yeah.
right? It's like those failures and those mistakes that you were talking about, missing all those cuts, not getting that gratification, but knowing that this is what you were meant to do, right? You chased that belief. You didn't wait
Mhm.
for it to come. And
That's
it
right.
sounds like that's what you want to implement within the junior, collegiate, and professional golfers you work with now within this new venture. It sounds like that's the belief system and the skills and the tools and the techniques you want to help and be in their corner because necessarily you had to create it on your own in some cases.
Yeah, I just want to help players to know that there is a structure to being able to develop, and that there is maybe right now a lack of development because of this emphasis on instruction. It is so easy to hire an instructor, and there's so many different philosophies when it comes to it. And we have grown accustomed to going to a lesson and staying in one spot and never leaving from that one spot. And that is not what golf is. And then players and parents and support system are like, why aren't you performing? And the answer is the player is like, I don't know. And that's the part. That is the cool part because I believe that we can create a system that will help players know how to become better golfers. They might not swing the club better or move the putter in this fancy smancy looking perfect. But our goal ultimately is to get the ball in the hole. And so how can we help you get in the ball in the hole easier? Whether that is through this mental process of being able to create this kind of personality. What personality are you on the golf course? Like, does that personality help you strategically plan how to play a golf course? I mean, there's so much evidence into what the PGA Tour guys are using, and just like the guys are starting to hire statisticians that literally study all of their stats and tell them what golf courses to go to and what golf courses not to go to based on their stats. Like, there is this overall, we want to perform better. What is going to help us perform better as athletes?
Mm. And it sounds like within all of that stuff, this you have a passion and almost that meant to do this mentality with this new venture as well.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely believe that through my experiences of being every player that you could possibly be on the LPGA tour and I've experienced seeking out help. I mean, I've worked with anyone under the sun as far as mental coaches. I've worked with neurologists. I've worked with specialists in certain things. I've worked with swing coaches. Well, I've only worked with one swing coach. I've worked with short game coaches. I've worked with putting coaches. I've worked with like everyone under the sun. And it's just like, how can I use all the tools and all the things that I have learned that have helped me at certain times? How can I create something that can help others? Because it's obviously a need, because I wouldn't get the same question over and over and over again. How do I practice?
What would you want our listeners to know if they're looking to work with you or join in on one of the trainings that you're going to offer? What's one thing you want our listeners to know or viewers if they're watching um, as well? What's one thing you want them to know that they'll get out of working with you?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would want them to know is one, we are creating tools that are going to help you, period. And the thing that I know is we are creating it to be simple and efficient and effective. And I believe that if we can take the time to look at it, see how best to incorporate it into your individual game, because that's the whole point. No one can give you a roadmap to perfectly for you to do you, right? We can give you tools to figure out, hey, what are the best practices? What are the ways that we can do it? But you still have to make it your own. And we're going to have this program that you could buy, but sometimes we like for people to come alongside us. And so that opportunity to allow for someone to come alongside you and help build these processes, help build these, how do I evaluate this? What am I supposed to be getting from this? Like, I think this is going to be a really cool tool for players to use. I think it's going to be a really cool tool to one, just have have an evaluation sheet. And so like you can evaluate it. You know, it's no longer, hey, like, I feel like I'm not good in this area. And it's like, well, no, let's test it. And so, like, you're taking around this feel because feels change. Like, I tell people all the time, how often have you looked at your 7-iron one day and been like, this is the sexiest thing I've ever seen? Like, I'm going to stripe everything with it. And then the next day, you're like, I don't know, the hosel looks kind of weird today. Like, it's just, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. The weight feels different than it did yesterday. And so, like, if we're reliant on those feels are untrustable. But having this system of being able to evaluate and then knowing specifically what drills to go into to then become masters at it. And so you can become a master at your game by just using these tools. And we're going to create these tools for you to be able to do it.
I love it. And it sounds like ultimately from what we've talked about, even from the beginning of our podcast till now, what you want the people to get out of working with you too is a sense of empowerment and trust within themselves.
100%.
You want them to leave knowing that they can be comfortable with the uncomfortable. They can sit maybe sometimes with those quote unquote negative emotions or discomfort on and off the golf course because they have the skills, the techniques, and the trust within themselves to get through it no matter what.
100%. And all that needs to be trained. We talk about it all the time. Between you and I, the muscle, your brain is a muscle. We can train it. And it needs constant attention, tender love and care. And so what are the tools, just as with the physical body, and then now adding that element of the mental, but then also adding this element of performance of just knowing that, hey, we're working on all the pieces of the puzzle. We're not just working on one. We're putting this whole thing together to create this cool package where you're not only getting this physical part, we're getting stronger, we're getting better, but now we're getting healthier when it comes to the mindset of just mentally training it. But then we're also getting comfortable and trusting in our ability to be able to perform it. And that performance piece of being able to evaluate, train, and then apply.
Yeah. And it takes time, right? If I was to ask you to go bench press 400 pounds right now, I know you said you worked out right before this, so that might be a steep number. But if I was to tell you, hey, Cydney, tomorrow I want you to be able to bench press 400, you'd probably look at me with a silly face, right?
I would.
But ultimately, we could work our way to get there. That is a big number. That's very exaggerated, but also it's the same thing within our mind. And I want our listeners to know that no matter what you're dealing with in this moment or tomorrow or the next day, it takes time to get through this stuff. Just like Cydney was sharing about her personal stories and not only this new venture, but it takes time, right? It took Cydney a whole year long to work through, not get any gratification, and to find success within what she can control. And that's exactly what you can do when you're going through something tough on or off the field. And as we're kind of wrapping up today, Cydney, one last question for you. What legacy do you hope to build beyond the golf course?
That pouring into others is the best thing that you can ever do in this world. That
I know you were going to say that.
We are here to serve, and this mindset of I have been gifted and blessed with this passion, one for golf. I'm a golf nerd. I can sit here and talk about golf all day. I was gifted with the physical ability to do it. I have experienced some of the coolest things and have met some of the coolest people. And now I have the opportunity to be able to pour into others that have the same dream and that want to achieve some of the things even far beyond what I've been able to achieve. And to be able to pour into others, and that relationships and the connections that you make with others is what makes an impact.
I love it. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing now with our team, within our team at MPGA. And with that being said, Cydney, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciated you coming on and having this conversation with me. And I know all of our listeners are going to enjoy it as well.
Well, thank you. This has been a pleasure. So,
of course. And with everyone else, thank you all for listening and watching the Mind Your Game podcast, episode number 2 with Cydney Clanton. If you have any questions at all for Cydney, myself, please feel free to put them down in the comments below. We are on Spotify now at Mind Your Game Podcast. We're also on YouTube as well at Mind Your Game Podcast. We will be uploading and recording episodes twice a month. That is going to be the first Friday of every single month and the last Friday of every single month. We hope to hear from you all soon, and we will see you next time.